The main question is, are you going to be up to watch the Elimination Chamber, depending on where you're at? On a Saturday morning, say in New York City, are you going to watch this at 5 a.m. with your cup of coffee? Are you that invested to this pay-per-view, this premium live event? That is the main question that we are going to discuss. One of many. You're watching the High Spot Podcast here, powered by Fast Break Coffee on the Give Us a Shot Network. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. What's going on, man? How you doing? We're on the mend, but we're here on the road to WrestleMania, and we're giving you this Elimination Chamber preview. What is going on, man? How you doing?
Well, to answer your first question, am I going to be up? I could barely stay up right now, honestly, to answer your question. To answer your second question, though, it's a long road, man. It's been a long road to WrestleMania. I know we previewed it a lot of times, talked about it, but, man, we are one premium live event away from WrestleMania. And what's exciting about this, Jeff, is that there are interesting matches going into this that we're invested in, right, to look at. But the end result of this is really going to lay the groundwork now towards Philadelphia. So I'm excited for it. Again, similar to past premium live events, similar to the Royal Rumble, right, where we just saw it, which is the last one. There doesn't need to be a lot of matches on this card, as we're going to talk about, to give or to pique interest right now. A lot of focus is going to be on the actual Elimination Chamber matches. This one I'm looking forward to because, yes, it's a smaller card, but my goodness, is there so much build-up for it towards Philadelphia. So I'm excited for it.
A lot of people, you're talking about the matches, not that many, but a lot of answers to a lot of questions heading into WrestleMania will be answered on this PLE. We're going to find out who will challenge Mommy or Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship. We're also going to find out who will challenge Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, who will fill that other championship match for Seth Rollins World Championship, Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Who will it be? So a lot of questions will be answered as we're on the road to WrestleMania. Again, guys, give us a like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast, as well as like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel for Give Us a Shot Network. I want to thank the boys for doing all they've done as we're on the road to WrestleMania. Very excited to be part of Give Us a Shot Network here as we head to WrestleMania 40. All right, without further ado, Trendsetter, let's talk about this amazing PLE from Perth, Australia. And again, depending on where you're at, it's going to be a doozy, especially for the East Coast people. 5 a.m. A watch time. So we'll give you guys the times to watch this as we're just hours away now from the Elimination Chamber PLE. Kicking off the show, we found out, first of all, they had a tremendous turnout for the press conference. In the sweltering heat of 100 degrees. How I wish we could even get to 90 degrees here on the East Coast. But, man, just watching them over there.
You're greedy. I'm hoping for 50 at least.
It's long for the summer days here as we're getting close to it, but not yet. And so they had the turnout. Of course, it was like a homecoming for Rhea Ripley. We'll get into that as well. But, the turnout, the excitement for this in Australia is off the charts. But they're going to kick off the show. We saw that we're getting Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae taking on the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, for the women's tag team titles. Adam Pearce actually came up to Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae and talked about how would you like to have a match here in Australia, and of course they accepted. It's in her hometown for Indy Hartwell. It's got to be a great experience for her. But let's be honest, Trendsetter. I mean, as I'm looking at this, I really, would love to think that Indy and Candice have a shot. But again, this is going to be a kickoff. This is going to be her hometown, wrestling in front of her hometown. And that's probably going to be the big reward for Indy Hartwell, a match like this. But a great kickoff, though. The women's matches are going to outnumber the men's 3-2. And let's talk about this one real quick. I mean, yes, the sentiment is great. It's going to be homecoming for Indy Hartwell. But as far as like any upset here, I really don't think I see one in this one, because I think the story is the Kabuki Warriors are going to go into WrestleMania as the champions. And that's why I don't see that Indy and Candice could actually, come out victorious in this.
No, neither do I. I hate to agree with you sometimes, but in this sense, it's a good home field, good story for Indy Hartwell. Candice LeRae really wasn't doing much too. They were obviously had success when they were together at NXT, so kind of bringing that together to see if they can kind of jumpstart these two individuals. I mean, individually, not so much, but I mean together as a tag team going against the Kabuki Warriors. So yeah, I see it as that nice start, nice kickoff to the show. You know, the crowd's gonna be excited for Indy Hartwell. She's gonna get a hometown roar of the crowd, and it's gonna be exciting in that way. And I really have a feeling too that you just mentioned to the press conference, right, and how exciting that was, and the turnout for that too. And yeah, I have a feeling right now in terms of and congrats to the WWE for going international for this because it just shows kind of the strength they're getting right now globally. They always had it, but now you have if you're subscribing to Peacock or you're just not used to this new time, which is going to air the premium live event. See that the enthusiasm's out there, so I'm thinking that crowd's gonna be riled up right from the beginning to the very end. So it's gonna be good. But again, I don't see an upset happening here. I see and still retaining the Kabuki Warriors as the women's tag team champions.
Yeah, like we're saying here, the sentiment is let's get the people that are from Australia here to the forefront. So Indy Hartwell, of course, has a shot. Obviously, her connections with Candice LeRae, so that's tag team that they formed. It's going to be a homecoming for her, which is great and awesome. But again, we don't see the titles changing hands.
Yeah.
Of course, Grayson Waller will be at the forefront, of course, with the Waller Effect as his interview segment will be a major point to this show. But again, though, somebody that's kind of off the card, which I'm a little surprised to, is Bronson Reed, though, because obviously he's another fellow Australian who is not on the card, did not qualify for the Elimination Chamber. And so you see someone like Grayson Waller get involved, and they put in Indy Hartwell in there late. And I'm just thinking, man, do you think Triple H maybe has a plan for me, a Bronson Reed appearance? Because obviously Bronson Reed is very disappointed, seemed very apologetic to his fans, to his Australian fans, that he just did not make it in time. A lot of people were talking about how maybe the birth of his child is going to be a factor, but he later on said that it's not. He just didn't make it on the show. Is there a way for Bronson Reed to kind of maybe make it on this show? Because I just don't see Triple H being that kind of guy where he's not going to put somebody that, especially who's one of his guys that he brought back after all the layoffs, for him not to be on the show. Do you see a way that Bronson Reed can get on this show coming up here at Elimination Chamber?
Of course, but at the same time too, like pick any scenario, right? Could he be a surprise entrance in the chamber? Could he disrupt anybody in terms of these single matches that we have? Could he be part of the Grayson Waller effect? Who knows, right? Yeah, could you still use him? Of course, but I don't think it's anything personal for Triple H. I think Triple H has made it perfectly known when they've asked him about the card number of how many matches per se or how many people are involved storyline wise. And I think a great example would be down the road. I don't know if a lot of people remember this though, but Becky and Trish being bumped off SummerSlam to used for a different event, and then they asked Triple H, well, what was the reasoning behind that or his mindset? And it's like there's only so much you can put on, and I'm sure it'd be great to have Bronson Reed there so he'd get a hometown welcome from the crowd too. But sometimes it just doesn't fit within the card or the storylines you're trying to produce. And let's be honest, and this isn't an attack on Bronson Reed, but I'm sure this is the last thing that people are curious about in terms of the matches besides the Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae and the tag team championship match for the women's titles. But like, I don't think anybody's really worried and concerned about that. I'm sure if Triple H could have done it, he would have. So I think, it's as it is that he won't be able to be on the card, though he could possibly be. You never know. Never say never. It's not a big deal.
All right, then. So then I won't stay on my platform for Bronson Reed. I just thought that again, a lot of people on this card trying to get people at the forefront, but no Bronson Reed. But we'll see. We'll find out if there's a spot. But like you said, there's really so many people you can put on a show at the same time. So the card looks pretty stacked as it is. We'll find out if Bronson Reed kind of makes some kind of impact at Elimination Chamber. All right, so we talked about the kickoff show. We're going to see the women's matchup for the tag team titles. Let's talk about the Elimination Chamber PLE itself. Let's talk about the tag team titles on the line. It's going to be Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day defending their undisputed tag team titles against the team of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Obviously, it's been a resurgence for Pete Dunne. Good to get him back. Good to get him in this mix here for a title with Tyler Bate. Obviously, Tyler Bate's been NXT for the longest time and now gets his opportunity on the main roster. And we're going to see, a good matchup here, a good tag team matchup here. Obviously, we're going to talk about the distancing of kind of Rhea Ripley the last few months or so from the Judgment Day as far as getting her on the babyface level, because we know that everyone's pulling for her and everyone sees her as this face. But now, kind of taking a step back from the Judgment Day, we see that there's problems here. There's problems with R-Truth. There's problems with, hey, listen, when is Damian Priest going to cash in his Money in the Bank? A lot of distractions, and kind of Finn Balor kind of taking a little step back as well as kind of watching things happen instead of kind of leading by example. Are the Judgment Day prime to be, in a little bit of trouble here heading into the Elimination Chamber? Do you see a scenario where they walk away Perth as the tag team champions and not lose to Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate? Because that would be a little bit of a shocker. Even though these two guys are really good, I'd still be shocked if they lose. Maybe if you give me a reason to think that they have a chance, I might swing that way. But I still think no matter all the troubles, everything going on with the Judgment Day, that they still walk away as the tag team champions.
Well, it kind of answered your own question there, I think, because you brought up great points. There is some turmoil there. There is some controversy. There is some dilemma going on within the Judgment Day. But let's be honest, we've seen this before in other factions, whether it be, the Bloodlines, just the earliest example of what you could talk about. I think they put that in there and they plant those seeds, especially for the fact that we know that eventually, maybe sooner than later, Rhea Ripley is going to completely expel herself from the Judgment Day. She doesn't really need them anymore. And the scenario in terms of will there be an upset and will be the title change your hands? Hey, there's always that possibility, right? But I don't see that happening because I think everything that you're talking about right now is going to come to a head either at or post WrestleMania. So I think, the inner workings are there. I don't think we're there yet because I think there still needs to be a conclusion with R-Truth, whether that's with, for example, let's say Dominic Mysterio or any other member of the Judgment Day. But I don't think it initially happens just yet because still a lot of questions have to remain unanswered. I mean, where the hell is Finn Balor in all this? Seems like you said he's just watching from afar and just letting things happen. You thought he was the leader, but I guess not. Now it's Rhea. She's expelled herself from or distanced herself from the Judgment Day. Damian Priest showing frustration. And again, the question is when he's going to cash in that Money in the Bank. So I think all those questions still remain to be unanswered. And we're not going to get a change of hands until these questions come to full fruition. And I think it's going to be around WrestleMania or post. So.
Well, the questions remain unanswered, of course. So obviously, with all the dissension, though, you could see that there's an opportunity for Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. It'd be really good to maybe change the titles for a little bit, but I don't see anything happening until after WrestleMania. Again, this to me is going to be just a continuation of just the further storyline development of the Judgment Day and see what happens. And I think too the whole R-Truth thing, while it's funny and obviously he's brought a little bit of a comedic relief to the group, I still think that that's kind of a little bit pushed to the side there as he's now aligning with, of course, DX, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano, right? But obviously though, I wish I could see a title change here. I wish it'd be cool to happen down there in Perth. But again, I still just see this as a continuation for the Judgment Day, and I still see them walking away the tag team champions at the end of the night. So maybe there's a chance, but highly unlikely that we get any title changes in the first two matches on the PLE at Elimination Chamber. You guys are watching iSpot Podcast, and guys, wanted to let you know that we got other episodes as well in the books. We just talked to Rohizi from the Remix Rumble. The WrestleMania Club will be in Philadelphia, and they just had a major announcement in which Mark Henry will be the guest DJ. But make sure you go back to our last episode and make sure you listen to that one with Rohizi from Wrestling Nightclub and Remix Rumble. They will have a lot more announcements on the way too, and we hope to be a part of that soon with them too. So WrestleMania is taking shape and taking form, and we've got we're here with you previewing the Elimination Chamber. All right, Trendsetter, the Grayson Waller Effect. It's going to have Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. They're going all the way to Australia to see what's on their minds. And Grayson Waller, I would say just yesterday, actually, put a little seed into doubt of whether you can trust Seth freaking Rollins. Can Cody Rhodes truly trust in Seth? And why would you ask? Well, because it looks like the angle that Grayson Waller is going to come at Cody with is like, this is the guy that, hasn't beaten you, who kind of showed you up 2 WrestleManias ago. and you have his number. Can you trust Seth Rollins? Are his intentions good? And I've been saying this since a couple weeks ago. I don't think you can trust Seth. I think there's while maybe he, gets his upcomings at WrestleMania and he betrays Cody Rhodes, I'm leaning that maybe Seth isn't 100% being able to be trustworthy, man. I there is that seed of doubt, and I think Grayson Waller is going to plant that here. And who knows? Will we see a Rock maybe through the video monitor talking and addressing these guys? What do you think we're going to see here with the Grayson Waller effect? It's going to be, maybe earth shattering here that it's worth being on the card.
I don't think it'll be earth shattering. I think it's going to be a scenario where Grayson Waller involving himself in his talk show with Seth and Cody, building up the storyline to what we're going to see. Hopefully, night one WrestleMania, which is going to be a tag match between The Rock, Roman, Seth, and Cody, because Seth is offering his services to Cody for assistance. Because as we saw previous weeks too, it doesn't look like Cody can face the bloodline on his own. So you have that doubt. You plant that seed in for Cody. He needs help. Seth knows Roman better than anybody, right? So it's kind of like his creation, as he mentioned in his promo. But the whole doubt, I don't know if there's ever an issue for people maybe blindly trusting Seth Rollins, because honestly, the last time these two were in a ring together, competing wise, Cody had a torn pec, and towards the end of him getting surgery, Seth was definitely adding on to that injury, hurting him even more as the storyline pitted itself. So I think it's completely legitimate. I think what we're going to get out of it is more building that doubt. I think in the end of it, you're going to see Cody and Seth kind of unifying, saying, hey, we are going to help each other. But still, it's going to play on the minds of people when they look at it as can you really trust Seth? But again, that's been a great job of Seth and what the WWE creative's done too. They've pitted him as this babyface. We've seen him as babyfaces before. It just didn't feel right with Seth. It felt really unnatural. This time it feels more natural because the crowd's behind him. They love this aspect, this character of Seth, but never once has he shown the fact that you can fully have 100% confidence he's going to do the right thing. Sometimes he'll come out and say it. Doesn't sound very natural, but again, it's kind of like that Joker complex. You just never know what's going to happen with him. I think he plays it really well. So, yeah, it's going to pit that doubt. I think we're going to see a unison of, hey, Roman Reigns is going to be there, so I'm sure he's going to confront the two of them.
I'm not sure if he's going to be there. I don't know 100%. Kind of teasing that, but I don't think he'll be in Perth because obviously Seth Rollins said that, hey, his MO is not showing up. So I don't think we're going to get Roman Reigns. I don't think we're going to get The Rock, but I think there's going to be more of that, like you said. I think we're going to get more of that seated doubt whether we can trust Seth freaking Rollins or not.
Yeah, and it's great leading into WrestleMania. So, again, you should never know. And that's the thing we want as fans, right? We don't want to be able to predict it. We don't want to be able to say, all right, this is going to lead to all the way here. This is what's going to happen. There is that ability where you brought up, you put it on social media too, you put it on an Instagram account, where what happens if Seth costs Cody Rhodes the match? And then, man, here we go again. But again, it would make sense if that did happen. So we'll see going forward. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. And hey, all credit goes to Grayson Waller right now in terms of the momentum he's getting to have to be able to do this on a premium live event. Just shows in terms of how they're trusting him to do it. So good for him. I think it's going to, as Piper would say, right, Piper. Just when you think you have all the answers, Grayson Waller is going to change all the questions for you guys, and it's great leaning into WrestleMania.
It's a great spot for Grayson Waller. Looking forward to that. And then you mentioned before how they may be pushing a Roman Reigns and The Rock teaming up against Rollins and Cody, but you get into the men's elimination chamber, and there's going to be an opponent for Seth. So that also leads into question what's going on here for WrestleMania, because are we going to get that tag team match, or are we going to get Seth Rollins really defending it against a guy who a lot of people are picking as the favorite here in Drew McIntyre? So as we talk about the men's elimination chamber, obviously we got Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, LA Knight. And so a lot of guys here making a pitch here all have good, opportunities. But I think the favorite here in the men's elimination chamber match is going to be Drew McIntyre. While we're all pulling for Randy, we'd love to see Randy and Seth. Obviously, a guy like the U.S. champion Logan Paul can make a huge impact here in being a double champion, vying for that. And a guy like LA Knight, who's been kind of put back to the back burner ever since we've had the returns of CM Punk, the returns of The Rock. It's kind of been pushed a little bit to the back burner. So a lot of guys here with a shot. But I think clearly, as much as I love Randy and his return, Drew is the guy. Drew is the guy that deserves to go to WrestleMania and take on Seth freaking Rollins, just because this heel persona, this trolling that he's done on social media has been outstanding. And I don't think there's anybody more deserving than Drew McIntyre right now.
Listen, Jeff, you use the word deserving. I use the word in terms of earning. I think Drew McIntyre has completely earned this opportunity now. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, oh, we've already seen Seth and Drew so many times now, whether it be, live events or, the last couple of times they face each other in the ring for the world title. But I think now that CM Punk's on the sideline, who else but Drew? Yeah, you're right. I would like to see Randy Orton. LA Knight has taken a back seat too. Bobby and Logan are kind of, in my opinion, or Kevin Owens are their fill-ins for that particular thing. But honestly, I feel that it's Drew McIntyre. It has to be, because right now what he's been doing, not necessarily just on social media, which has been hilarious too, but what he's done on the microphone and how he's been able to portray the side of him, which, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I always felt was in there. The ability. I mean, people want to make fun of the fact that, sometimes with people you don't understand their accents, or they don't relate to the audience because they're from another country or culture, or whatever the case might be. I think Drew's done an amazing job in every single altercation he's had, whether it be with CM Punk, which I thought was, to me, that was the moment where it's like, wow, he can stand toe to toe with someone of the best on the mics, Seth Rollins or Cody now too, and mocking them, and then basically stating his case, which, despite the fact whether you cheer for him or not, he has a legitimate case here where he was never given his moment. He was never given his opportunity. It was taken away from him. Not blaming anybody here, but we had a pandemic, right? And he wants that so badly. So now he's fighting for that to finish his story, as he calls it, right? Everybody's using the story analogy now, right? I think it's going to be Seth. It's going to be Drew McIntyre. I think from what we've seen in the past, it's going to be an amazing match. But I think the story it's building up to it, the anticipation in terms of how personal it is, I think it's got to be true. To me, he's earned that opportunity. He's earned it, in my opinion. As much as, like, again, you want to see the others and you have a viable case for each one. To me, it's Drew. Drew's going to WrestleMania to face the world champion.
I didn't think. See, you knew it was in Drew. There's a point where I kind of believed it too, but I was just waiting for it, and I was just like, okay. And obviously, the story aligns. He's got a great gripe because he never really got that WrestleMania opportunity, even though can I say Brock Lesnar? Even though he defeated Brock Lesnar in an empty arena at WrestleMania, he never got that moment. And we always thought about it, man. Could you imagine how great it'd be for Drew in front of all the fans to finally get all the love? And this was like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
For him to get it now, obviously there was a lot of bumps in the road. And obviously here's a guy, though, that there's a question to whether he's re-signed, because a lot of people think that, he's only there till April, he's only there till May, and then he's a free agent. I kind of believe that he's re-signed. You have to think that he kind of has, because there's no way that you're going to put all of this on this guy, build him up, build his character, and then for him to walk away, whether he's close to signing or whether he's on good terms with them and there is a build towards a possible re-signing down the road. You'd have to think that WWE would have a solid idea of what this guy is doing, of what Drew McIntyre is doing in his future. He is advertised for shows up until May into June. I would say he's also going to be he's featured on these other posters for the Bash at Berlin, I believe. So this is somebody I think who's quietly re-signed. If you're going to ask me, put a bullet to my head and I put a gun to my head and I say, hey, do you think he's re-signed? I think he has. And also too, mad props to Drew, because it was there, and it took all these circumstances for him to finally let it out, and he has, and it's been amazing, and he's really deserving. Again, there's nothing against guys like Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley and LA Knight and Logan Paul and Randy Orton, but Drew McIntyre has been very consistent. He's finally seeing his full potential, and this is a guy that at WrestleMania, he's going to get his moment. I think the reason why we can all stand for another Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match is because we all believe that the road is going to pay for Drew to beat Seth Rollins. To finally really believe he has a chance to beat Seth Rollins. So I'm pulling for Drew, and I think Drew McIntyre is going to win the men's elimination chamber coming up in just a few hours, depending on where you're waking up from. But That leads to the women's elimination chamber, and that would be the only question left is who's going to take on Rhea Ripley or Nia Jax. Whoever wins that matchup, we get the women's elimination chamber matchup. And again, you got Tiffany Stratton, who's a newcomer, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Naomi, who's returning and she's on the main event scene, Liv Morgan, who is on a revenge tour to get Rhea Ripley, and of course, Raquel Rodriguez, who's obviously the sentimental favorite because of what she was going through. If you saw the videos this past week of what she's gone through, man, mad respect for her. What she went through, the ordeal with her, with the skin and the treatment she's been getting, and how it's a uphill battle. She's obviously a sentimental favorite here, but Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley is something that I think that they've been teasing for so long. Ever since last year, you kind of got a little bit of taste of it. It would be like face to face between the man and mommy, Rhea Ripley. And I think as much as all these competitors have a chance, I think that they're leaning towards Becky Lynch.
Yeah, man, it sucks that we're agreeing on all this too, but all those signs lead to it, of course. And it's not that it's so predictable, but they've been planting those, those seeds or those Easter eggs, as people want to call it too, in terms of it possibly happening. And when the Royal Rumble happened and Becky Lynch was eliminated, you're thinking, okay, this would be a spot where Becky could get another opportunity, because now we know where Bayley's going. She's going for the WWE Women's Championship. So I kind of similar to what I said about Cody. I think the only way for Becky Lynch to main event WrestleMania was to go through the Royal Rumble, or in this case, the Elimination Chamber match, because we had bidded that it was going to be Bayley. If it wasn't, it was going to be Becky. And listen, for all the girls there, for all the women there, you could have a legitimate reason for each one of them. Naomi, Liv Morgan on her revenge tour. The list goes on and on, right? I guess the only wild card would be Tiffany Stratton, but she's that good where she could actually put, if she won it, I'd think, wow, it'd be a huge shocker. But I think she could stay on her own there with mommy. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley is the only thing to me that makes sense. If you're going to put that on a card, I mean, you just kind of said it too. Just talking about the man versus mommy kind of sells itself, man. So I don't really see any outcome except Becky Lynch coming out victorious, and we're going to have that towards WrestleMania. And then, talking further when we talk about WrestleMania once Elimination Chamber's over, what's going to happen, what's the outcome there? That's the more interesting story in terms of how you dissect and how you break it down. But yeah, to me, it's Becky Lynch. The man will come out victorious in Australia and will go for the women's world title.
Now, before we get to the main event, which was announced just recently at the press conference, someone that's kind of conspicuous by their absence is Jade Cargill. She's somebody that she was originally, from what you hear, booked to be in this chamber match, but then kind of, obviously taken off the card. And, a lot of people saying, why? Well, why would you? Well, she didn't win at the Rumble. She got a great showing, and it's a lot of good vibes from that, positive feedback, has a presence, has an aura. Maybe putting her in something like this where she wasn't going to win again, maybe would kind of like, maybe to the fan be like, oh, okay, so she's not winning the Rumble, she's not winning Chamber, so what are we going to do with her? Any hesitance on your part to have pulled her from this, or does it kind of make sense that, wait a minute here, we don't want to put her on this kind of like losing streak, or a little, or maybe not be successful in the beginning, and maybe wait and pick our spot before we really introduce Jade into the WWE?
I mean, the way I think about it, Jeff, is that less is more. You saw at the Rumble, we saw the good showing she had there, and she got eliminated. Is part of it probably protecting her? I'd probably say yeah, probably to a certain degree. But I just feel like, personally, I mean, part of it could be protecting her. You don't want her to lose in the chamber. I mean, it'd be nice if she shows some dominance in the chamber, but then lost. Again, it's another L on her end here too, right? Going to Mania. I think she'll still be part of it. You talked about how, people were teasing Rhea Ripley and, the man, Becky Lynch. When you look at the Royal Rumble, when we saw Bianca Belair and Jade stand face to face, the crowd was going crazy. It's like, that's a potential WrestleMania match right there too. So part of it's that. I think it's just, I feel like all the stories right now are so funny. So every time I say stories, I think of Cody now, right? I think all these storylines are kind of so pitted together that it just wouldn't be fair or right to do it, because it just gets lost in the shuffle. And for somebody like Jade, and again, this isn't, I'm sure there are going to be doubters there. They're going to be bashing her wrestling style and stuff like that. But,
Of course, there's
you know,
always those people.
but she's going to be in the ring with individuals that can kind of, in a way, mask that to a certain degree, right? Make her look better than she is right now, as she's still learning, as she's still growing in that role for her. I just don't think right now you don't use her, because right now, if you're Triple H, you don't want to waste her. And I'm sure people are like, how could you waste her? You don't want to waste her in a match like this, because it's not going to lead to anything going forward. Once Elimination Chamber is done and we see where Jade goes in direction, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, because she hasn't signed for either one, then we'll see where it builds up. But I don't think you really use her here, because I think the stories are too bit close together for Rhea Ripley, because that's what they're going for. And really, there hasn't been that much interaction between Jade and Rhea. So it wouldn't make much of I'll have to use the word sense in wrestling, right? But it just really would be a right fit. So I don't think it has anything to do with protecting her. I think it's more that everything is kind of set in stone of where they want to go direction wise. And I think by just doing that, it does no service for them. It does no service for her either. So
I think it's pretty smart. I totally agree with that philosophy. It's not protecting; it's just saving her for an opportunity. And I think, like you said, less is more. And we have a great image from the Royal Rumble, and we want to see more. But they're going to be selective of when they want to do that. And I have no problem with her being off the card. I think it was the right decision, anyways, because you're right. Everything is now tunnel vision towards Mania. Yes, they had the little, not little, but major derailment with getting The Rock in there, right, at the last minute.
Yeah.
Cody back. But now they kind of have a course. Now they kind of know where they want to go. Now they kind of know where this is going. So obviously, for Jade Cargill, though, I still think she's going to have a major spot at WrestleMania. Though we'll find out what it is, but obviously, just not in the works for the Elimination Chamber, PLE. Now, again, we are going to find out who's going to challenge for the Women's World Championship, but who is going to be the champion heading into WrestleMania? We're going to get the main event. Two women are going to main event a WWE PLE. It's going to be Nia Jax challenging Rhea Ripley. Obviously, they had the face-off in Perth at the press conference. Got a little personal there. Rhea Ripley threw some prime in Nia Jax's face. The bottle kind of bounced off her head, too, as well. I think it kind of went a little bit too... Yeah, I think it was a little too much. I'm pretty sure they kind of had the heads up what was going on. I was like thinking, wow, is that necessary? But this matchup, it's going to be her hometown. It's going to be her home crowd. Everyone's going to be pulling for her. Obviously, they're all on board the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley. Nia Jax. Let's first of all, listen, we know where this is going. Obviously, we're not breaking any news here on who we think is going to win. So I will accentuate the positives. Since Nia Jax has come back, she's had a really, really good return. I think she's been booked right. I think this is how she should have been booked all along. I think that she's just done a much better job. I think her promos have gotten so much better. I think she's deserving of this spot. I think this is somebody that is a viable threat to Rhea Ripley. That's why you're going to put her on this PLE, because obviously she's been dominant. Had a dominant Rumble, had a dominant the last promo on Raw. She dominated all the females in the chamber match. She's gotten the best of Rhea Ripley, but Nia Jax, as much as a great job she's done, this is really going to be a elevation of Rhea Ripley as that face. And I'm going to have a huge question to that, because as Rhea Ripley evolves into a face, there's going to be a little bit of an issue heading into WrestleMania. So I'll just give you right now that I think that it's going to be Rhea Ripley. And Trendsetter, I kind of believe that you are leaning towards that way, obviously, because we're using common sense.
But again, it's not even like when we started this whole show. It's not about common sense. It's about more of just trying to see where these stories are gonna go and what direction they're going in, leading to Philadelphia, leading to WrestleMania 40. Right? If you were to go and do an upset, or in this scenario, let's use it as the example, have Nia Jax win, does it make it look like more of an unpredictability? Or like, oh man, we all thought it was going to be Rhea and Becky. Now it's changed, because when you really think about it, Nia and Becky still have kind of unfinished business as well. It's still personal there. So I guess it could make sense there. But I just feel like the way they've built Rhea Ripley and how they've invested so much time in her and have had belief and trust in her to give her this opportunity to main event with Nia Jax, who has, again, earned her spot in that scenario too. Since she's come back, she's done great work. I don't think you do that if you expect to have her lose. And the whole babyface thing where she's becoming more likable, it's kind of hard to boo her. Her issues now are her distancing from Judgment Day. I think that's eventually coming down the road, just not right now. And so for me, the interesting thing about this is yes, Nia has had the best of Rhea Ripley in the past when she's attacked her and has shown her dominance towards Rhea Ripley. And it also allows the crowd to see another side because all we've seen is a very dominant female going through the women's roster, and you're like, well, who is a potential threat to her? And this is someone who's not only just a potential threat, but someone who can dominate her, who's just as strong as she is, can actually do to her what she's done to a lot of the females that she's competed against when she's defended her title. So it builds that feeling of doubt. But I think if I was a betting man, and I'm not because my luck is the worst, you know that, and that's why like I'm doing this show, guys, for you, and I'm under the weather, as you can tell from my sexy voice.
He
It
is
doesn't matter because it,
struggling here, but he's doing good.
yeah,
Well,
and I'm trying my hardest. You know,
buddy, you're heading down the stretch.
it's not easy, but it gives you that pit of doubt that if it did happen, oh wow, kind of makes sense, right? Again, we're not trying to put logic behind wrestling, guys. It just kind of when you're trying to think of it, you're like, okay, well, if it does go this way, I could kind of understand where they're going and not be so upset and throw hashtags like we want Cody type of thing. But in the scenario, I don't think so. I think again, it's been built up so much that they want Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. It's come to this type of conclusion where we're going to see it at Elimination Chamber. And hey, congratulations goes out to Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. I mean, I can't remember the last time two females closed the show. We had WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte and Becky. But that's kind of more of a special attraction, in my opinion. But
Really,
this goes to two women. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to Bianca and Sasha Banks too. But man, this shows to me in terms of the elevation of where Rhea Ripley has gone, and I'm sure she's done tons of media for this too. She is the poster face for this event too. So a lot of pressure to live up to, a lot of pressure for her to deliver, and I think she will. And I'm looking forward to this match. So I see Rhea Ripley retaining, going to WrestleMania, still the champion.
so there's a conundrum here, and I don't know whether it's on purpose or whether because you just want to see this matchup and it's leading to. Obviously, they've kind of led us down this path for about almost 2 years now.
Mhm.
But there's going to be a conundrum where Becky Lynch is a babyface, and mommy Rhea Ripley is on that verge of being a huge babyface on Becky Lynch's level. This, to me, will begin that turn, the full turn. Any hesitation of having babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania, or do you think Becky Lynch is going to? Again, we're already talking about WrestleMania, but any hesitation in booking a babyface and babyface matchup at WrestleMania?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's been. I think we're past the era, Jeff, where you need a good guy and a bad guy, or a healer and a baby face. It's what the audience kind of wants, or what causes the most intrigue, and that's what this scenario is. You're right. We're going in the verge of where it feels like Rhea Ripley's going to a full babyface turn. Could culminate at WrestleMania. We don't know. We could still talk about. So still time to talk about that, right? And let's see if it does happen. But in the scenario of this, it just piques interest too, because in this scenario, you have a situation, if it does happen, where you'll have the crowd going for both. And at the same time, you love seeing those chants going back and forth, back and forth. So I don't think that's an issue. I don't think there is an issue anymore nowadays for having two people who are liked by the crowd going against each other. I think ultimately, the end, I don't think one necessarily has to go in another direction. The other one has to go in the opposite direction. But I think right now, it piques the interest. It picks the intrigue of people saying, well, who's going to come out on top? But ultimately, before we talk about that, we have to get there. I think once we get there to the point of we know what's going to happen at Elimination Chamber, we see the results, that's when you and I can dissect it and talk about it for hours and hours. Because right now, I don't think that's an issue. I think right now, it's a scenario, I'm sure back then, you could still say that Rhea Ripley is still technically a heel going against the heel, but she's coming out the babyface. So again, I don't think it matters storyline wise.
I think WWE has a heading into WrestleMania, including this. They have a plethora of ways. I mean, these are good problems to have, I would say.
Yeah.
I really do think they have right now a riches. First of all, let's talk about this. The women's matches are going to outnumber the men's. So let's talk about the women's division, the state of the women's division in wrestling right now. Yes. Are they trying to get more stories involved? Yes. Do they have more players? Yes. To me, this is the strongest that the women's division has ever been. I love the way Triple H is getting everyone involved. I mean, yes, are they throwing Indy Hartwell opportunity to wrestle in her hometown? Of course. But to get Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell involved, where you didn't think, well, poor Indy is stuck in the mix. Candice LeRae is a veteran, but is she ever going to get an opportunity? Here's the opportunity. Triple H is able to get everybody involved, and that's a good thing. And this is a good thing because you can base now a PLE off the women, and how awesome is that? Where you don't have to depend on the men, and you can, hey, listen, we're going to save this men's match for this and have a women's PLE main event. This one, it's a good problem to have, and like you're talking about, we'll worry about till when we get to WrestleMania, right? It's a good problem to have. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. What promoter wouldn't sign up for that problem, right? And
we're dealing with a day and age where WWE didn't have enough talent to make you interested. Now there's a huge depth in the roster of the men and female. If you're anybody, if you're Triple H, honestly, Jeff, was this a problem you'd love to have?
Oh,
you don't have enough a card to put everybody on it. Any promoter would love to have that problem.
It is a promoter's dream. And speaking of promoters, that's why Triple H is the Booker of the Year.
Damn right.
And hey, listen, I know our award should be the number one, but we kind of knew this all the way in January, right? But congratulations to Triple H because he won Booker of the Year. I know there's somebody, down in Florida who might have an issue with that. But hey, well, listen, you can't win every year. So we're going to give Triple H's props. Congratulations on that. And this is going to be something to look forward to, man. Listen, are you going to wake up at 5 a.m.? Because it is going to be a 5 a.m. watch here. Listen,
knowing my schedule, I'm up at that time anyway, so why not watch it?
Yeah, we promised each other we'd go to the gym early one of these days, and maybe we'll have that on in the background while we work out. But listen, it's been a labor to get. Listen, we love this. We love what we do, and this to me, if I could, I'd have the computer on 24/7, give you guys episodes every on the hour, right? But we're so happy to at least be here and give you this Elimination Chamber preview. It's going to be, I think it's going to be worthwhile. So if you're up at 5 a.m., enjoy it. If you're up at 2 a.m. on the West Coast, enjoy it. Wherever you are, make sure you're watching on Peacock and make sure you're watching HSP Podcast because we'll be with you here on the Rhodes WrestleMania. And that's it, man. Once we're done here, the next stop, Philadelphia. So looking forward to that, guys. Make sure you follow us on all our social media. We are powered by Fast Break Coffee here on the Give Us a Shot Network. Like and subscribe. And listen, man, the Jersey Wrecking Crew, Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter are going to be along with you for the ride heading into Philadelphia. So, guys, enjoy the PLE. Enjoy the beauty that is Perth, Australia. Man, those sites were so beautiful, man. Oh, the summer days, Trendsetter. I'm just longing for it, man. But
I can't remember them. Maybe I'm getting old in age now. I don't remember those days anymore. I don't, honestly.
And Trendsetter was right about Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. That's the last time the main event like that. So obviously, props to you, Trendsetter, on that, and thank you for us Lops for just securing that down for us. But Trendsetter, do what you do best, man. We'll see you on the other side on the road to WrestleMania. But listen, it's been fun, Trendsetter. Do what you do best and wrap this baby up.
Listen, guys, it's from Australia all the way to Philadelphia. The road to WrestleMania will be coming to a better conclusion at the end of all this. And we look forward to join that journey with you guys as well. So for Scoundrel Jeff Martin, I'm the Trendsetter Brian Berga. A little on the weather, but doing it for you guys because, again, it's a labor of love, and I love doing it with you guys as well here, doing this show and talking about our passion, pro wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, right? We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew, guys. Thank you so much for showing our support. We'll catch you guys next time. Hopefully with more energy because I'm still I'm still feeling it right now, and so is Jeff too. But guys, thank you so much. The road to WrestleMania is getting closer and closer as the weeks go by. Guys, thank you so much. Remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the
crew. Get that coffee. Get that Fast Break coffee and watch Elimination Chamber.
I need NyQuil.